Sadly, probably that may be the case at the higher end of the scale, but I know the history of the operation very well. There's two headquarter operations, one in East Kilbride, one is Palace Street in London, previously in Victoria Street, and go back to when I was there, back in Eland House many years ago. But the history of DfID in terms of how it's emerged in this country means that there's no direct link in terms of the types of work they do in each department. It's not equally based. Most of the high-profile jobs are based in London. There are some high-profile positions in the East Kilbride operation, but nowhere near as many as the operation in London. Now, there was a leak, and I was given information that there was a paper went from ministers to HM Treasury saying it was going to be 165 job losses in the East Kilbride department, and there were going to be no job losses in East Kilbride. Naturally, the department rejected any suggestion that those figures were accurate, and I appreciate that people have to be coy, and I know that the negotiation will take place between trade unions and management on these subjects over the coming months. But because of the split of jobs in DfID, is the East Kilbride headquarters more vulnerable to the redundancy round that may or may not be coming?
Well, first, I mean, I think it's important to say the leak of the 165 number, we don't normally comment on leaks, but, you know, we could find no document that was sent to the Treasury with that number in it, and we searched high and low, so I think that number was fabricated, frankly. In terms of the vulnerability of the two headquarters, I'll let Richard say something about that, because he has most of his staff in East Kilbride and is our management board champion for Abercrombie House. But clearly, more of the corporate jobs are located in Abercrombie House, and that is where a lot of the efficiencies will occur. But it's not the only place where the efficiencies will occur. As Mark has said, part of the efficiencies will occur in closing down more country offices, and they will be reducing numbers in our field presence as well. There are also efficiencies to be made in Palace Street, so it is not only in East Kilbride. These are efficiencies that will be borne across the organisation as a whole, for starters. And I think the other important thing to note is that we already are in the midst of a process of moving even more jobs to East Kilbride. We've got 70 jobs that are moving to Abercrombie House now, and that is something in terms of where we locate jobs that we will always keep under review. Richard?
Yeah, perhaps I can add a couple of things to that. The first thing is that the composition of jobs in Abercrombie House has changed quite a lot in the last 5 years or so. So if you looked at Abercrombie House 5 to 10 years ago, it was dominated probably 90+% by corporate and transactional work. And that's changed quite a lot now. We've moved policy jobs, we've moved some of our bilateral aid programme management jobs, some research jobs, some of the multilateral work is done from there. So the balance of work in East Kilbride has moved that office from what it was originally set up as, effectively a transactional and corporate support function, to one that's much more part of the core headquarters of the department. And one of the things that's meant over the last 6 months or so is that the 70 policy and programme management jobs that we're in the process of moving right now have largely been filled by staff who were already in Abercrombie House and previously doing corporate roles. So if you look, for example, at the Overseas Territories Department, one of Mark's departments, which will be based there, most of the staffing for that has come from people who were Abercrombie House based. So we are managing some quite important shifting of staff away from seeing themselves just as Abercrombie House corporate staff to staff who are doing a wider range of work. And we expect that process of continuing to review the balance of work between Abercrombie House and London to continue. The other thing that's important to say when you're thinking about changes in the corporate area is that although our biggest concentration of corporate staff is in Abercrombie House, one of the reasons why we've got relatively high ratios on corporate staffing is that we've got a lot of networks embedded around the organisation of people doing corporate work. So if you look at finance or HR or some of the other areas, we've got not only the core team doing the work mostly in Abercrombie House, but lots of people around the organisation. In fact, our assessment for some time has been that we've got too much duplication and too little professionalisation in those wider networks. So when we're looking at reductions in the corporate spend, it absolutely doesn't just mean Abercrombie House. It may in fact be in some areas we concentrate even more corporate work in Abercrombie House by cutting down and reducing the need for some of the networks, and indeed centralising some of our transactional work even more. So it's not to say there won't be reductions in some of the corporate functions in Abercrombie House. There will, and we've been very clear with staff that that's the case. But it's not a simple equation of saying cuts in corporate means cuts in Abercrombie.
One quick question, Chair. Richard, did you say you're in charge of East Kilbride?
Yeah, well, I at management board level, I have overall responsibility for Abercrombie House. I'm based in London, but in Abercrombie quite a lot.
You're in charge of East Kilbride, but you're based in London.
We have someone who is the head of the East Kilbride office who is based in East Kilbride at management board level.
What level is that?
That's director level.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The committee, as you know, visited Abercrombie